Hey y'all, we are back, and this time we are continuing our conversation that we had last week, where we were reviewing our Foster checkout cart page. So we had some UX designs that we were reviewing, and so we're going to carry on that conversation. So we're just going to jump straight in this time. So I'm glad you're here. My name is Stephen Callender. I'm the owner of Foster Commerce. We also got Darrik Moberg, who's our head of engineering, and we've got Michael Van Dorth, who is senior front end engineer. And so we're just going to jump right in and enjoy this video, and we'll see you at the end. So here's the question. We've got two more things really to talk about that I can remember. Is we've got the other action of like what it looks like to do move to wish list.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got this over here, kind of talk about, which one do you want to do next?
While we're talking about actions, let's just do move to wish list, and then maybe we go back to the beginning to talk about the order summary.
Cool. So here's a wish list. This is my first time actually even kind of seeing this version of it here. But down here is this idea. So when you have a wish list, move to wish list, the idea would be that this card right here would move down to here, transition some way of as well. Same conversation about how does it get moved from there to there. And then in this, one of the things that was interesting in some of the advice and the research of it was to have it look different. So I think when we first designed it, this card was basically just listed underneath wish list. They're like, oh, it needs to look a little bit different, so you know that it's a different thing, so you don't get confused and assume that like, oh, I thought I bought that, or it's so that was one, is just some visual difference there, and a lower prominence as well. So like if people have ads or other things as well that they want to add, they can put some notes in here between the two, which we don't have yet. So right now we're kind of more looking at the cards themselves and the kind of this layout a bit. But yeah, so it looks like what we have is just very similar top stuff here within two unique buttons down here. Remove it from wish list and then move to cart there. And then it looks like this is kind of a scroller that Lisa's added in here.
And
what do y'all
I was
thinking?
gonna say you've known me long enough to know how I feel about carousels.
Yes.
So we might change that.
Add more. So yeah, we'll drop that. We'll drop the slider. And I think even this idea of like, think about it though, if let's imagine it's a 3-column grid on desktop, even at that point, and then we wrap down, is that good, the smaller cards here? What are y'all thinking?
I was thinking like, my thought is like show a couple and then link to a page where they can see their full wish list. So if somebody has 50 items in their wish list, we don't have to stick 50 items on the page, but
oh, interesting. Okay.
Like show them their most recent ones, or how maybe in a V2 we figure out like, because we're essentially also building a wish list plugin inside of our cart plugin. So there'll be things like, how do we organize it? Like, because there might be like, oh yeah, this is our premier product. We want this to kind of float at the top of the wish list or something all the time. But
so that would require, if we do that, so that would require some extra helper text as well, kind of saying like recent or top 3 or
yeah, or like whatever. You've got X number of items. Yeah, exactly. Like, and then like, so like 3, and then underneath, like you've also got 50 more items in your wish list. Go check it out.
Yeah. Yep. That's an interesting idea. So then, okay. So not showing all of it, just showing a few, having kind of helper text explaining that you're only seeing a few, with obviously a link out to a bigger page. Then we'd have to design that page too, what that looks like. Right. Okay. Let's talk about the cards themselves then. So the size of them, I guess the stacking grid option here, and then also the kind of these unique actions and their size, prominence, and whatnot. Like, what do y'all think when first review of this?
The first thing that comes to mind is a content issue on these. So we have these short little headings of these products here, but as you know, content can be very long. How is it going to look when one of those cards is, as you know, one of these very long texts in there? Are they going to be scaling vertically as well with the text? That seems like a very small column to have content in.
So you'd prefer to kind of keep it the same width, so just have it take the same kind of go.
No, not necessarily. Or maybe we could just go, like instead of like a 3-up grid, maybe a 2-up grid would give us a little more breathing room if there's longer text at this state. The other thing is like maybe just does the price need to be in the upper right corner? Do we want to just retain that thing from its similarities from the cart item cards, or can we just move that down to another spot? And then we have the full width for the heading. I mean, if the idea is that it should look different from the cart cards, then
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. I do think, um, yeah. All right. So in my own thinking, I'm like kind of getting lost between the width of these things and like the grid layout versus just a stacked, single column.
Mhm.
On that note, real quick too, before jumping back into these, like I think I'm in favor of like stacked, just because then it's scannable. Like when you have to zigzag back and forth of like, well, where's that one? And you like, especially if you drop one, then it changes location. That was on the right column and now it's on the left column. And so like I'm looking for that one thing, and it just makes it a little bit harder to browse at that point. So I would like, my thought is keep it single column, and whether that the width is a little bit shorter so it differentiates it, or if it's differentiated in another way and it's the same width. um I think stacked is still kind of my preferred way to go. That might then change, it's fine if the price is there, or like to me it's kind of based on what I know now, like it doesn't matter like to put it however. I mean, it would change the way that the discount showing though. That might kind of be a different look if it's left aligned there. But yeah, what do y'all think about first on the idea of stacked, like stacked or grid?
I think the grid thing here, what we're doing is, of course, we're only looking at 3 items in the cart, but I think it's a sort of an attempt to go full width on that to fill up the space, because our order summary area is very small and you're going to be leaving a long white column. So like you said, white space isn't bad necessarily, but I
No.
think that's the reasoning behind putting this in sort of like a layout this way, grid-wise, is to use some of that space that's open there to show more in a smaller vertical space.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't mind it in a row like that. Um, but I think I'd have to see it the other way and really figure out how to differentiate, because I think I kind of understand the reason for not wanting the wish list cards to look like the cart cards, because you don't want people to think the stuff in their wish list is in their cart,
Mhm.
right? So I think I just need to see a couple different options for it to kind of decide what I like.
Okay.
Because there is, yeah, if you do these, 50% or whatever, there's still a bunch of extra space on the
Yeah.
right, which, like, again, it, like Michael said, is okay, but like also feels unused.
Yeah.
And I kind of I struggle with that with the cards a little bit, the cart cards a little bit too. It's like there's a lot of unused space in these cards, and like it's okay, it keeps it kind of clean and not cluttered. But like if we start having, I wonder if we start having too much white space, if it then becomes kind of much more obvious that there's a lot of unused space on the page.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
Well, even
know.
going back to the item cards, like only 3 in stock, for example, could come over here, when you're thinking about adding quantity, like that could show up there,
Yeah.
and so you could fill out, there's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff you can start adding into these things to like to
Yeah,
fill them up.
and you don't want to overfill them for sure.
Yeah.
It's just like, but again, I think that comes back to like what we were talking about before. If we move the only 3 in stock, okay, well now we're moving it to be in context with the quantity, and then we've got this other stuff that's related that's now a context of it. So it's like maybe we do got to move the quantity, or at least see a design where it's moved and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So there's some other looks that we want to take to have, especially on the wish list too. So maybe take a stab at those of kind of going wider, going stacked, seeing how they feel a bit.
Yeah.
And then, because the other thing was we're not fully looking at the full cart page, there's gonna be other text information. So there'll be like information to the user about their carts or about returns, about shipping speeds. So there is other stuff that is going to fill up the page a bit.
Yep.
And so I think the layout decisions we kind of need to hold off until we get a full final view on that.
So zooming in on the wish list a bit, how do we feel about the button arrangement? Because I've seen some, like, thinking about like there's some research I've seen that I think got used in like the UK government websites for like how to design forms and stuff, and they did a lot of really good user research on that. One thing they talk about actually moving form buttons all the way to the left so it's in line with things, but the other thing I think about is like in left to right languages, are people going to gravitate more towards the remove button or the move to cart button in this context? And that's kind of like I keep wanting to click the remove button while I'm looking at this, but that's not necessarily what we want people to do with their wish list.
Yeah, the order seems to me be swap the order of those, maybe move the cart and then the remove, even if we decide to keep them horizontal. It just seems,
and even just using the same sorry.
No, yeah, I'm just saying you want the end idea is you want the user to move products from here in their wish list into the cart. So
yeah. The other thing I was thinking was just use the same text link component for the remove and not make it a button. So if you move the cart to the left and to the right of that is a text remove, similar to the cart items there. I think another thing would be worth playing with is like putting, this might just be playing too much, but moving that image off to the right. So then the text kind of sits to the left there. But that may not really bring much value.
Yeah, it sort of depends, right? Again, I think back to that like t-shirt versus technical part. Like the t-shirt, you want the image to kind of be the really prominent thing, and if you move it to the left, then the text is where people are going to go first.
Yeah,
at least in left to right languages. Again, in right to left languages, it'll be flipped. But
yeah. Okay, so we've got a few things, and we'll ask Lisa to kind of show us so that we can review a little bit. Moving the cart button over to the left, changing up the remove, seeing different layout options, kind of adjusting possibly if the price goes underneath here, different image size, kind of on that stuff. So I think we got a few things that we can get a review on. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. So let's do this last one a little speedy and go through the order summary. Let me just walk through a little bit we have. So some of the basic stuff here is just basic subtotal. So subtotal is like a merchandise subtotal or something like that. So everything you have in there with its default pricing, and then you have any of your discounts, coupons, sales stuff in here. All of your price reduction things show up here next, and then you have your subtotal. So showing this was something that research is also kind of really important, of kind of making sure you show kind of the calculus, the math, that's happening, and some of these things, and labeling it well so people know what they are. And then we get to the fun stuff. So this one is estimated shipping, and then showing the zip code of what you're estimated shipping at. So in one of the things I know what we want is to have a default zip code that a brand can set. So like, hey, for default, if we're looking at shipping, when we're in the checkout pages, like what zip code do you want to use, or what region do you want to use as the default? We'll show it there, and that way people see something, and not just like wait till you go through checkout, to see then the pricing change. But then also gives an option to change the zip code to set it to their own. They can see how it's going to impact the price on there as well. But then also this little notification, just in case they have some shipping rules that say if there is free shipping, like how they can get toward it, to encourage them to obviously add a cart to get to that free shipping. So that this piece has a lot going on in here. Then obviously when you click change zip code, it opens up a little form that has the zip code in it. Remove it, change it, have error messages if you put in the wrong thing. or a region that's not accepted. So there's a lot in here. And then the estimated tax, also just the label of estimated is important here, based on the location, based on the default shipping option that's chosen as well. So if you tax the shipping as well, kind of that would be a commerce rule. And then, well, maybe I should stop there before we go any further. Any wow, I'll carry on. And then we can just do the whole thing. So, all right. So coupon code. The other piece that was interesting here is the idea of hiding this. So of not having that input for the coupon code be in your face where it's like, fill me out, because then it can encourage people to get off of the site to go look for a coupon. And I know I've actually done that. So when I read that research, I was like, oh yeah, I definitely do that. And so as soon as I see a coupon code, I try to hunt for one. And so that might lead me to regret my purchase because I'm like, oh, there's coupon codes out there, but not for this item, And so the idea is just, make it easy to get to and find, but don't make it so prominent. So it's basically a toggle to that input field there. And then you have your estimated total at the very bottom and then checkout kind of with that. So that's kind of what's informed us a bit on some of the order of the things and the layout of some of these items.
Yeah. Just thinking, we probably really want to think about that shipping section a bit more. There's a lot going on there, and I keep getting my eyes pulled to the change zip code button, which is not necessarily where we want people to be looking. We want people to be looking at the estimated total and the checkout button, right? And so we probably want to really have Lisa maybe iterate on that a bit, or have maybe Michael or somebody else kind of think it through.
Mm-hmm. Is it more of a problem with the visual hierarchy of how it's appearing?
I think for me, it's like there's a lot of information there. So I'm already going to get drawn to
Mhm.
where all the information is. And then because the change zip code button is like a noticeable button mixed in with a bunch of text, it is kind of a really big visual hierarchy. So it's just like, I don't know if there's a better way to convey that information to like really get people kind of moving towards checkout, but also like allowing them to get more accurate shipping so they're not surprised when they get to the shipping section.
I think maybe visually what might help a bit is add a little bit more vertical rhythm or spacing between the different listing items. So we have a subtotal reduction, subtotal after discount, and then we have this block of text, and then immediately after that change zip code button, we have the estimated tax. Maybe if it's a matter of maybe just providing a little bit more padding between those elements, it kind of splits them up a little bit, and then maybe, but this is more of a design thing. I'm thinking is we don't want to go too dark with text, but using a little bit of visual hierarchy in the tones of the colors, the darkness or lightness of those texts to give it a little bit difference, so you're not immediately drawn to that button. That would be more of a thing when it's getting into color and stuff like that. But
I think the spacing is spot on too. I thought that was one of the first things I thought too, is like we need this order summary to be a bit bigger, I think, to account for all that information. I
did put in a request already to change that zip code button because it's just too prominent and it's not a component that's used elsewhere in that way. So just keeping it as like a text link that would have that action still. I think still is reasonable.
Yeah, I'm wondering too, do we make what if we did estimated shipping and then kind of where the change zip code button was, had that just be shipping to whatever change zip code? I feel like I've seen that pattern as well. And it keeps the like change zip code and the zip code we're estimating from kind of together. But also can make it less prominent that it's wrong kind of thing. I don't know.
So basically have it to where, so you have estimated shipping as a label, and then down below it says shipping to 90210, And that is a
And then
text link that you can click. So like if you click that, it changes it.
Yeah,
or...
like shipping to 90210 and then like maybe comma change or something. Some way to tell like what clicking it will do, because if it just says the zip code, it might not be clear what it's doing. But yeah, just kind of like thinking about that a little bit. So then we have the context of like change zip code and the zip code that we're currently set at is the same. And that'll help us from like for you know, we talked about screen magnifiers. I've mentioned like assistive tech users, like they won't have it's harder. It can be nice to have the context of like all of the context you need when you click the button together. So yeah, I know like Shopify has a pattern for this that like while we don't necessarily want to copy, it's at least used on a wide variety of sites that we can look at.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit more we can play with around this and kind of see what starts to feel right for us, but also in the sense of like makes it, easily compatible with like, what we can do in craft and, how we want to structure all that too. But yeah, I think so. So that looks like it's worth revisiting a bit in there.
Yeah.
To me, everything else is kind of straightforward. In there, do y'all have any other kind of thoughts on the order summary?
Yeah, what does the coupon section look like if you apply a coupon? And do we want that after the estimated information? So it's like apply all this, then apply the coupon after. But right now, the way this is structured, right, the coupon would go up into the section that's currently labeled reduction, right?
Yep.
Because the coupons would apply before tax. Do we want to move coupon code somewhere else, like before the summary or something? So it's like, hey, add a coupon code and then here's all of your information. Like, I don't know.
I don't think so. So I think it would impact the other places, but where you enter it would still kind of be there, but then you would see the result of it, the change. Like it would force a refresh of all of that data, right? At that point. But yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, I guess I'd love to see designs for what an applied coupon code would look like.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Just so I can see like, okay, where are we showing that the coupon has been applied? Like, are we providing any information in the sale section there, the reduction section of like, hey, it's this much from the sale and then this much from the coupon kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
If someone wants to, yeah, I think that would be the piece about coupons that I'd want to see, I think.
Cool. Well, let's do that. We can make that happen. Awesome. Well, why don't we wrap it up there?
Yeah.
First start diving into our cart. So obviously there's a little more work and some decisions to make of just like what's going to be default in there. Figuring out how wish list is really going to work in there as well. But yeah, I'm excited about it. So I'll pass this information off to Lisa so she can work her magic. And she's done a great job from here. If anyone else, if you're watching and you had ideas, something you've implemented in a cart or something you've seen, you've experienced in a cart, you're like, oh, that was cool. Then obviously would love to hear what you're thinking, what's on your mind. And if even again, if this, what we're building is something like this is going to be useful for you, let us know, because then you could get on a beta list. So I don't think we officially have that, but if you want to be a beta user for this thing, once we have it ready, we're going to need some beta users. So let us know, sign up, send us a message, leave a comment, all that good stuff. And then we'll run from there. So if you haven't signed up yet to receive our weekly newsletter, then go ahead and do that. Add yourself to our email list. And when you sign up to our newsletter, you'll be the first to know when we've released another one of these YouTube videos. And your name will also be entered into a drawing at the end of our summer sprints. And we'll be giving away a brand new Foster Commerce t-shirt. No Oprahs around here. So you get a t-shirt and that's it. Just one. So sign up, use the link in the video description below, and we will see you next time. Until then, stay cool.